So as I said, the small size is all written here. So you just start off with the very first one here, band number 1. It says chain 24. So this is the largest size band, and number 2, 3. So you start off at the base and work your way all the way to the top. So you can flip the page and then you're gonna finish. So you're gonna see that the topper here, the small size has 9 bands and then there's a topper. So it takes 10 motifs in order to do it. Now when you're going to do the next one, the medium tree, says work bands and topper with B. So that is just a color, like that B means the color. So it says band 1 starts at chain 34, band 2 chain 32, and I'm gonna get further into these instructions, but you see that you just follow it as you go. But once you get here after band number 6, band number 7 and all the way to the end, it says work bands 2 through 9 with the small tree. So then all you just have to go is to go back to number 2 of the small tree and then go all the way through it and then all the way to number 9, and then it says to do the topper. So you can see how the medium and the large size, or sorry, the medium and the small size are working together. Now when it comes to the large, that's a completely different monster because you're going to be mixing up everything within the small and medium size in order to get it. So I have written my notes here just for my own convenience. I'm gonna get further into these instructions, but as I said, so the large tree says work the band 1 as the medium tree. So that's what we're gonna follow. So bands 2 and 3, it says this is it. So bands 2 and 3 is exactly this twice. So you need to make 2 of these. Bands 4 and 5 is exactly 2 of these. Then band 6, and then it says bands 7 and 8 here work as band 5 and 6. So 7 will equal 5, 8 will equal 6 of the medium size. And then continuing up, band 9 and 10 work the same as bands 2 and 3 on the small tree. And then bands 11 has been written out because it's an incremental size that's not already been provided. And then band number 12 work the band 4 of the small tree, and then band 13 is written out, and band 14, 15, and etc. So you can see that you need all of these instructions in order to get it. So it's using the mix of the large size, it's mixing up the smalls and the mediums so that you can get a nice taller tree here in a more even way by mixing it all up. I don't know how the designer actually did this kind of concept and kept her head straight on it, but it works out really quite beautifully. So you're going to notice that you'll have all these motifs in a circle. So let's talk about that when we get there. So the trick for you is that you're gonna want to keep the bands in order. So I kept them in order. So when I did the largest one, I started on the medium one here band, and then I started, and then I just followed it through. So when I was finished one, I would stack it up on top of it so that it would not get out of order, because once it gets to a certain size it's kinda hard to tell who's who. So once you're satisfied with that, and depending on the size cone that you're working on, all you're just going to do is you take these motifs and you slide it down the cone, and when you slide it down, you're gonna notice there's a bit of friction to it, so then you go. You don't want to jam it all the way down. You just want to kind of rest it and see where it's gonna naturally go, because if you push it down too far you might end up with a gapping space right at the top. So just be patient with that, and you're gonna notice that it's gonna get really quite pretty. So the second last one is just gonna sit right on top of this, and then the last one is right on top, and you're just gonna use a pin, a straight pin, in order to hold those down, or you can use some hot glue if you're feeling very adventurous. So let me take you to an example here of one of these, and I'm just gonna take apart my tree. So here's my tree laying down. So you can just see I want to keep these in order, so I haven't pinned them yet, and each one of these is separate. So the 1 and 2 were just sitting on the top, and then you can see that the next one is just slid over. So they ends up with all these little round motifs with a hole in the middle, and you can keep on going. So the major difference between these is the actual instructions for how it's growing, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dive heavier into that next. So let me show you exactly what you're gonna be looking for to be the difference. So round 1 and 2 are usually the same as each other. So the only difference is that you'll see that there's a band number change. So it's chaining 32 in this one, and then you're going to notice that you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of the chains, and then in the next one, number 2, is 1 single crochet in each. That's pretty much consistent for most of them. Just keep an eye on that until you get to right to the top. What you want to look for is on number 3, there's a growth round. This changes per per one that you're doing. So in this case it says chain 1, single crochet in the first 4 stitches, 2 single crochet in the next, and it's asking you to repeat that all the way around. And in this case it doesn't go all the way around, it says single crochet in the last 2 stitches. This is what you're looking for in order to do the growth. Now because this one has 6 rounds and it's one of the biggest ones, round 4 and 5 are the same thing as far as slip stitching in order to create these chain 2 spaces that gives it a bit of a ruffle look. And then finally the final one here is pretty much consistent for most of them, but it does get smaller. So the final round is 1 single crochet, chain 4, 1 single crochet in each of the chain 2 spaces. As these motifs get smaller and smaller, this will change to single crochet, chain 3 single crochet, and then eventually single crochet, chain 2 single crochet. So you want to keep an eye on this. So I put a note to myself when I was working on this, the rounds 4 and 5, when it's a really big one here like a 6, is pretty much the same, so it's kind of a slip stitching here. But let me flip the page and keep on showing you some other stuff. So as these motifs get smaller and smaller as they're working their way up the cone, you're going to notice that round 6 is missing. And what I made a mistake on the very first time I did one of these is that I made 2 rows of the slip stitching like I had seen in 6 rounds, like that when it was bigger. So you want to keep an eye that you're only gonna see 1 row of slip stitching in order to do it. You're also keeping an eye on the number of growth that you have here, and then the end here, this is a 5th round, is single crochet, chain 4 single crochet. So again you see that these change as the bands get smaller, so 5 and 6 when you're working on it, and again round number 4 is the slip stitching line in order to keep the growth. Let's keep flipping the page. So as it gets smaller and smaller, you see that there's only going to be 4 rounds as it gets smaller and smaller, closer to the top. Again the growth is different here, and then you're just seeing it like this band here is this instruction. Band number 12, you flip the page to band number 4, the small tree, to get that information. Band 13 has been written, and then band 14 and 15 is the same as 5 and 6 of the small tree. So you're just keeping an eye as you're working your way all the way. So eventually you're gonna come very close to the top, and it says work then the bands 17, 18, and 19 the same as 7, 8, 9, which is the very top, and then the topper of the small tree, which is pretty much this when you get there. So you have to follow these instructions, because if I was to film all of the different sizes here, I would have to film literally probably about 30 some odd different motifs, but they're so close to each other, and the only difference really is in chain number 3 and whether how many circles that you're going to do, and of course the starting is going to be different as well. So I'm going to show you how to do one of the largest ones so that you can understand to follow through, and we're just gonna pick a band. I'm just gonna do one of the largest ones here, and I'm gonna do one with this round 6, which is gonna be the large top one here, which is gonna be the chain 32. So I'll demonstrate that with on camera, and then this is the pretty much how you're gonna do it for the most of it. So you just grab your sheet and just follow through, and what I would probably recommend is just highlighting. So I highlighted when I needed to move around, so I just kind of went through it with my pen, and I just pointed to where I needed to go, so to help me out. So sorry I'm being a little bit long-winded. So let's try the large tree bands number 2 and 3, which is the same band, but I'm just gonna demonstrate it one time.